Hello and welcome to PlayStation Access and to our list of the top 10 best couch co-op games on PS5. We're on a continued mission to gather our favourite PS5 games by genre, and this week we look to the titles that bond us with a common cause. Many of them can be played together online, but they absolutely sing when there's a single sofa uniting all those butts. I will also accept one smaller sofa and 2 adjacent armchairs. To make the cut on this list, the game must have a native PS5 version, though you can check out our best PS4 local co-op feature for our backwards compatible recommendations. In true co-op fashion, I'm going to tag team this with Ash. So let's get started with It Takes Two. Had to be, really. I mean, the clue's in the title. Hazelight's platform adventure isn't just better in co-op, it's the only available option. That's how totally the spirit of collaboration is baked into the game's DNA. It follows an unhappily married couple who are transformed into dolls, stick with me here, and forced to rediscover their bond to get back home to their daughter. I'm going to skip over the creepy Dr. Hakim who guides them along the way. I'd have dropped this book off at the charity shop the second he did his first pelvic thrust. Ugh. Really, it's an excuse for the 2 toys and us controlling them to come to terms with the fact that you can't always go it alone. The game's constantly placing your fate in your partner's hands as you toggle switches to steer through thrashing machinery, or wield bespoke gadgets to create paths, or play bodyguard to a beleaguered buddy. You also get tag team bosses which culminate in takedowns that are way gnarlier than you'd expect from a game with this Pixar aesthetic. I still have nightmares about Cutie the elephant to this day. And in the event that you can't quite let go of your competitive side, there are mini-games to keep your animosity bubbling away. Honestly, the variety it packs into a 10-hour journey makes this one of the greatest local co-op games on any platform ever, let alone PS5.
I'm going to stick with Fabric and Friendship for Sackboy: A Big Adventure, a breezy 3D platformer which can be perfectly enjoyed by a single player, but begs to be played with the aforementioned fabric-y friends. As has come to be expected from our burlap hero, there's an effervescence to this hand-sewn world that you constantly want to share with people, whether it's cooing over costumes, marvelling at the DIY aesthetic, or just taking a beat to groove out to the absolute bops on the soundtrack. I mean, it is licensed, so we can't include it here, but imagine all this playing to Britney Spears' Toxic! I like to imagine all PlayStation Access videos playing to Britney Spears' Toxic, as I know Rob does too. Thankfully, that's the only toxicity that does factor in Sackboy. The game encourages kindness and cooperation with the ability to throw fellow Sack people towards hard-to-reach collectibles, and the inclusion of co-op exclusive stages that split teams up and force you to work in tandem to solve platforming puzzles. I'd say it's particularly good for parent/child combos like me and Rosie, though it'll take considerable restraint for adults not to carry on long after the children have gone to bed.
Next, Baldur's Gate 3. Not just a co-op game, but a story about cooperation, or the lack of it, and what that entails for an adventurer in dire straits. It gives you a very private problem. There's a tadpole in your brain, turning you into a squid monster, but quickly partners you with fellow infected, a gang of damaged and untrusting souls whose own survival instincts might not align with your own. So, do you spend the campaign treading on eggshells? No. You improve the odds of survival by inviting a trusted friend to play the whole thing in split-screen co-op. I say trusted friend, as the second player is free to do as they like in the world of Faerun. They could opt to run in the opposite direction, sowing seeds of discontent with every quest giver they meet. Such is Larian's commitment to replicating tabletop role-playing. Every hero has the agency to derail the adventure. We recommend pulling in the same direction though. Turn-based combat becomes a riot as you synergize moves, and by listening in on your partner's conversations, the split view blends to fill the TV. And when you're talking to majestic beasts, they deserve nothing less than your full widescreen. So, in the immortal words of Baldur's Gate 1, gather your party before venturing forth.
Talking animals next, we have got Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles: Shredder's Revenge. This is a brilliant riff on an arcade classic that used to eat pocket money faster than Raphael gobbling an extra-large margarita. Thankfully, there's no change-chomping in Tribute Games' loving throwback to Konami's side-scrolling brawlers, which is good news for pals who want to play in local co-op, and terrible news for the legions of foot soldiers about to get a nunchuck to the face. Or indeed, a bow staff, or a katana, or a pair of sais. Of course, the game's secret weapon is the quality of life improvements that arcade dwellers could only dream of. Dodge rolls, aerial uppercuts, directional throws, charging attacks, not to mention screen-clearing specials that you build through combos and then can unleash at the perfect moment. Even the character roster goes above and beyond, padding out the Reptilian Quartet with Splinter, Casey Jones, and April O'Neil, who can thump a mic into Shredder's gob like the world's most aggressive vox popper. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Shredder's Revenge supports local co-op for 4 players, and online co-op for 6 players. Almost seems unfair with those numbers.
I don't know what deal was struck with the co-op devil to get Diablo 4's spread of local multiplayer options, but this is such a comprehensive package that it's surely worth whatever pitchfork-based repayment is due down the line. 2 players can share a screen and link online with another pair enjoying the same setup elsewhere to form a party of 4. What's more, monsters scale to individual heroes, so any combination of experience levels are met with a perfectly judged challenge. And best of all, you needn't pause to watch your pal endlessly tweak their outfits, or they're yours, as it's handled in a nifty side panel while your character loyally follows the active player. All that makes it technically brilliant, but it ignores what a natural fit Diablo 4 is for co-op. A big part of any action RPG is build remorse. As you pick a class or funnel points into skills, you're constantly aware of the awesome toys you could be playing with. The beauty of co-op is fighting alongside those what-if builds up close, seeing 2 power curves playing out in tandem as damage numbers go up and up and up and visual pyrotechnics drown the halls of infernal deities in extraordinary aggression. They say the devil's got the best tunes, but he has the best couch co-op too.
From hack and slash, we head to hack and slash and stab and bite and scream and wail. Yes, it's The Quarry, Supermassive's latest interactive horror flick, and one that continues the fine tradition of Until Dawn and the Dark Pictures anthology of being as much a slasher spectator sport as it is a nuts and bolts survival horror. It is practically impossible to sit in the same room as this game and not get pulled into the bloodletting as you chime in on key decisions and collectively bellow, "Don't go into the basement!" But why shout from the sidelines when you can directly influence the fate of the 8 camp counsellors trying to survive one terrible night at Hackett's Quarry? Couch Co-op invites 8 people to divvy up the cast and take control with Pass the Pad. The hilarity of this is not just triggering quick-time event disasters.
Goodbye, cruel world. The final curtain is calling and there's no time for an encore.
But trying to avoid decisions that might doom your fellow couch sharers. Even better, each participant can calibrate accessibility options, so the most hardened horror nut can enjoy full-on pressure, while the grandparent you've roped in can be spared any tricky button mashing. A game any group can enjoy. Well, until Grandma makes it weird by forcing all the teens to make out. No, Grandma! Bad Grandma!
A wizard, a thief, and a knight walk into a bar. Heard this one before? You'd be forgiven. Trine's trio of collaborative clobberers have been doing their co-op thing for almost 15 years, and if it ain't broke, don't fix it. In this 2D physics puzzle platformer, success hinges on carefully combining the muscular heft of Pontius the Knight, the rope tethers and arrows of Zoya the Thief, and wizard Amadeus' ability to summon crates and planks and telekinetically steer them around. Where the series evolves is in a nifty adaptive difficulty that reworks the layout of levels and components of each puzzle to fit the number of players in the party. Adventure with a full 4, and there are many more moving parts to contend with, requiring synergies between all hero abilities. Return in single player and you'll find it drastically simplified. Trine 5 includes classic co-op for 3 players or a version for 4, where you can play with any combination of heroes you want. A whole squad of 4 Amadeuses. Knock yourself out. And you probably will with that many crates flying around.
Ever tried making a sandwich with padlocks instead of bread? I ask because in our town, escape rooms now outnumber bakeries, such as the popularity of getting locked in a room and then busting out using anagrams or whatever. It seemed inevitable that some bright sparks would try making a game out of this. And so we have Coin Crew Games, and the game is Escape Academy, a whole virtual school dedicated to the art of opening locked doors with only a cursory understanding of European capital cities. It really is that simple. You're stuck in a space, you poke and probe for inventory items, and hopefully pick up on subtle pointers about how graffiti scrawled on wall A might somehow relate to the floating letters in fish tank B. The beauty of local co-op is having the means to show A and B on the two halves of a split screen, a real boon to code breaking. Of course, it also replicates the delicious drama of two people getting aggy with each other because it was obvious, Dave, that the banana wasn't meant to be blue. Who has ever heard of a blue banana outside of Grebo shops? Anyway, if two friends can make it through these rooms, they can make it through anything.
I know what you're thinking. Tetris, Rob? In a co-op list? Surely this is the lone wolfiest of lone wolf games. Just you and your concentration versus an ever-building stack of tetrominos. The clue lies in the name. Tetris Effect Connected. This was a big multiplayer update that includes the titular Connected mode, a frankly incredible co-op experience that sees 3 block builders taking on AI-controlled bosses. It works like this. 3 players build solo towers, clearing lines to fill a shared zone meter. Max that out and the 3 stacks merge into a mega stack as you enter the zone and take turns to place pieces on a vast wall of bricks to complete as many lines as possible. Lines finished here are added to the boss's stack, gradually forcing them into a loss. Of course, they fight back by throwing blitz attacks at your individual towers, but that moment of unity, when the music suddenly surges and 3 players work in perfect harmony to fuse huge fizzing combos, is the perfect payoff for enduring the blitz fear. Honestly, it's an almost euphoric experience, one everyone should try in local or online co-op at least once.
Hopefully you enjoy the previous 9 games enough that you and your housemates don't end up going your own way. But should it come to that, why not practice for the big move with Moving Out too? It's basically Overcooked for removal firms. And I'm not just saying that because they're both published by Team 17. Both are games where people are free to go their own way. In this case, sprinting around homes, grabbing domestic appliances and chucking them into a moving van. But both are impossible to conquer without serious coordination. Not only are there huge sofas and tables that are quicker and easier to heave around with multiple movers, but twisty interiors encourage relay teams to efficiently hurl items along a daisy chain, or to split up duties to ensure that someone is closing gates before farm animals can escape, or making sure furniture isn't getting clogged up on conveyor belts. Throw in devious hidden objectives, try clearing a house without breaking any glass, say, and by the time you've 100%ed the campaign, you've evolved from Chuckle Brothers-style clown show to ruthless wardrobe wrangler. Local and online co-op support up to 4 players.
There you go, those are our 10 picks for couch co-op games on PS5. Though it's by no means exhaustive, the PS5 is groaning with team-based fun. I'm desperate to hear your best local co-op games in the comments below, and while you're here, why not check out our other PS5 top 10 lists? Whatever your genre, we've got you covered. Thanks for watching, and see you again soon.
PlayStation